Isang makakalikasang araw po sa inyong lahat. I'm happy to share with you po the results ng aming previous study on mangrove blue carbon. For this seminar, let me share with you our part of the results of our study, specifically on the ecosystem carbon stocks and carbon emission arising from land use change. The climate change mitigation potential of our Philippine mangrove forest. Yung unit po namin sa ERDB ay yung Coastal Zone and Freshwater Ecosystems Research Division, and we are based po sa loob po ng UPLB College of Forestry Campus. So we know that mangroves po ay they provide many important ecosystem goods and services, including po fisheries, mga forestry products and services, at yung very recent nga po ay yung carbon sequestration and storage. No? Based dun sa study nung over a decade ago na mangroves were found to store 3 to 5 times more carbon per unit area as compared nung kanilang mga terrestrial counterparts like yung ating rainforest in terms of per unit area and other temperate forest. No? However, globally po, there have been over the last 50 years, there have been reductions of around 30 to 50% doon sa ating mangrove cover for many reasons. No? Dito sa Pilipinas, we used to have like 500,000 hectares noong 1900s, pero declining steadily over the years, and as of 2020 we already have nasa 311,000 hectares na lang, no? And of course majority noon ay nasa Palawan, no? Nasa 4B. At dito rin sa atin sa Pilipinas, over the years, no, yung ating annual decline from 1980 to 2005 based dun sa study ng FAO have been 2,200 hectares, no, every year. Mas recent na analysis assessed that from 1990 to 2010, nag-decline na yung deforestation rate at a rate of 1,400 hectares annually. At ang very recent po na estimate during the period ng 2000 to 2012, mas lalo nang bumaba, no, to only 18.5 hectares yearly. Pero kung tutuusin, malaki pa rin yun. Imagine almost 120 hectares a year, no? And significant yun for us, considering na yung mangrove natin hindi naman kasing laki ng mga terrestrial forest na over 1 million yung hectareage, no? And of these studies, no, na nabanggit, mostly yung reason kaya nagkakamera ng mangrove conversion to other land uses ay because of the aquaculture. But other land uses also like oil palm conversion, conversion to built-up areas, tsaka other land uses, no? And this is despite the laws na existing since 1991, yung RA 7161 that prohibits mangrove cutting. And before that, may mga laws pa rin like sa PD 705 na nagpa-prohibit ng mangrove exploitation, mangrove cutting. So with that as background, no, we know that ngayon mataas ang interest sa mangrove blue carbon na yun nga nung as nabanggit ko kanina, as of nung study nung 2011 na record, no, napatunayan na per unit area, kasi maliit lang ang mangrove globally tsaka pati dito sa Pilipinas maliit lang ang mangrove compared sa terrestrial forest, pero per unit area, meaning per hectare basis, 3 to 5 times higher yung kanyang nung nakastock na carbon. And so therefore, compared sa terrestrial forest. And so therefore, carbon stock in biomass and soil, kasi doon siya nakastock, no? Yun yung mga carbon pools. As well as yung mga potential emissions owing to land use change, like yung change ng mangrove forest to other, to aquaculture, are an important parameters to quantify and monitor sa mangrove area. There have been marami na pa mga studies na since nung mga 2010 pataas. Pero these studies po ay also includes carbon stock in biomass at saka sa soil. Ang tawag doon ay ecosystem carbon stock. Pati yung mga pati yung na i-emit na carbon out of their conversion to other land uses. However po, very few reports or studies yung na-conduct at the level ng country, no. Most of the studies were done on small sites only, no. So bibihira po yung nag-aral na parang country level yung scale, no. So therefore, it is important po to generate country or region-specific data on carbon stocks and emission factors from various land use activities in mangroves. Pero yun nga po, sabi natin kanina, most of the countries do not have sufficient information to include mangroves in their national reporting to the UNFCCC. No? Also, as I have mentioned kanina, most of the mangrove CSAC studies in the Philippines, as well as in other areas, in other countries, were done in single site and mostly on biomass. No? At mamaya papakita natin bakit it is very important to also include yung assessment ng carbon sa sediment ng mangrove. And sabi natin dito, very few on soil carbon and woody debris with no consistent field methods. No? So iba-iba yung method na ginamit sa field. Isa po sa mga problema na we know very little about our country-level mangrove carbon stock based on study sites spread across Luzon, Visayas, Mindanao, both in biomass, woody debris, as well as doon sa soil carbon pools. No? And we also have very limited knowledge in the country about the carbon emission or carbon losses when mangroves are converted to other land uses like aquaculture. No? And therefore, yung carbon emission from mangrove deforestation, yung mostly based yung estimates for carbon emissions from mangrove deforestation were mostly done based on assumptions, while very few po yung actual measurements na ginawa. No? So therefore po, to address yung mga gaps na yon, information gaps doon sa ating current knowledge on mangrove blue carbon, yung project po na ginawa natin specifically aims to quantify and evaluate the ecosystem carbon stocks of mangrove forests in the country, selected sites using selected sites, no? Selected representative sites. Meaning kung ecosystem carbon stocks of biomass, woody debris, at saka po yung soil. And then also, we were also interested to estimate yung potential carbon emissions, no, owing to conversion of mangrove forests to other land uses like aquaculture. No. So ito po yung study sites namin. We have like 11 sites spread across the country from the north in Abulog, Cagayan, to down south in Davao, Baganga, Davao Oriental. No? So meron din po kaming sites dito sa Palawan, on the western side of the country. So ito po yung mga characteristics ng mga inaral naming mangrove forest. No? So nakaspread po sa Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. Ang interest po namin is just to magkameron ng once and for all, isang consistent using a consistent methodology na yun din yung methodology na ina-apply sa sa international assessments, yung protocol on mangrove accounting from using Kaufman and Donato at saka yung kay Howard et al. And then using that as a tool, gusto po naming maka-come up ng isang estimate na using our samples from the Philippines, no. Hindi kailangan, so ang gusto po namin makita talaga yung variability sa meaning from the very good cover na mangrove up to doon sa portion doon sa other side nung mga mangrove na hindi kagandahan, no, para po makita natin yung variability. So yun po yung interest din ng study, para makaka-create tayo ng more or less a national picture ng carbon stock in mangrove na using a consistent method. So ito po yung mga sites namin. So Pangasinan, Quezon, Cagayan, Bulacan, Camarines Sur, Palawan, Puerto Princesa, Cebu, Guimaras, Surigao, at saka po sa Davao Oriental. So ito po yung methods na ginamit ng study. It used yung kay Kaufman and Donato 2012. Ito rin po ay inulit nun sa kay Howard et al. 2014. So basically ganito po yung design. Isa siyang linear, isa siyang transect na around mga 125, 150 meters na merong at the most ay mga 6 circular plots within that transect na ang radius ng bawat circular plot ay 7 meters. No? So we use intensive field assessments to collect data on the above ground and below ground biomass, soil organic carbon at saka woody debris. And then yung pong woody debris, by the way, siya yung mga nalaglag na na mga sanga, ng mga twigs doon sa floor ng mangrove forest. So we also did yung laboratory analysis para doon sa mga biomass at soil samples, no? And then determination ng system carbon stock value using mga biomass equations at laboratory results, no? Yung system carbon stock value, katulad ng nabanggit ko kanina, siya yung sum o pinagsama-sama na carbon stock ng biomass, ng soil at saka ng woody debris. At saka lastly, yung estimation po ng carbon emission arising from the mangrove deforestation, no? Okay. So for yung kanina po, yun yung for the objective 1, which is to determine yung carbon stock in the several carbon pools. This one naman po, yung sa pag-estimate ng carbon emission, ito po yung mga sites na kinuha namin. So isa siyang partner, parang po siya, merong dating mangrove na ngayon ay hindi na, iba na yung land use. Tapos ang kinuha po namin na naka-pair niya ay yung malapit na mangrove pa rin, para more or less parehas yung kanyang environmental condition. So kinuha po na may mga ganong instances po kami na study in Pangasinan, Pagbilao, Davao, Guimaras, Camarines Sur, na yung mga land uses na ngayon ay abandoned fish pond, rice field, perennial agriculture, tsaka po yun, mga abandoned fish ponds, no? So ito po yung results, no? So based doon sa carbon stock assessment, which is the first objective. So ang key message po ay we have an enormous amount of carbon stored in our Philippine mangroves that needs strict protection. So density-wise po, yung mean carbon density is around 538 tons of carbon per hectare, no? Ang range po niyan ay from 65 to 1,381 tons of carbon per hectare. Kung i-convert po natin yung carbon stock into a CO2 equivalent, no? So it's on a per hectare basis, it's 1,974 tons of CO2 equivalent per hectare, no? Yun pong 538 tons of carbon per hectare. So based po dun sa NAMRIA data na on 2020 on the area ng ating mangrove, sa buong Pilipinas, we have 311,400 hectares. So kung i-multiply po natin yung nakuha nating density, so we would arrive at like 167.5 million tons of carbon. And this is equivalent po sa 614 or 615 million tons of CO2 equivalent. No? So, malaki po siya. Actually, yung ganito, yun pong 167.5 million tons of carbon, or yung carbon equivalent niya na 615 million tons of CO2 equivalent. In terms of carbon, in terms of the emission, carbon emission po ng mga cars, it would be equivalent sa 133.6 million cars, no? Based po dun sa emission ng cars na around per year na around 4.6 tons of CO2, no, equivalent per car. So ang key message number 2 naman po ay yung soil naman, no, sa katulad na nabanggit natin kanina, na napakahalaga pala ng sediment sa ating mangrove forest, no, because the soil stores the biggest amount of carbon that must be protected in a mangrove forest, no. So makikita nyo dito sa graph yung C-stack percentage nung bawat carbon pool, nung biomass, nung soil, tsaka nung woody debris. That majority 74% nung the whole of 500 plus tons of carbon per hectare ay nasa soil, no? So 74%, no, consistent siya sa literature na nandun talaga ang big bulk ng carbon sa mangrove, no, nasa soil. Therefore, yun ang isa rin sa mga dapat nating protektahan. So, nasabi dito, yung soil organic carbon, ang range niya ay 50 to 95% of the total carbon stock. However, yung biomass tsaka woody debris ay nasa, at the most ay, yung biomass ay from 4 to 44% and woody debris from 0.3% to 6%. So, therefore, talagang kailangan talaga nating pangalagaan as well yung sediment sa mangrove. So sabi dito, the enormous amount of carbon stocked and locked in the country's mangrove forest, especially sa soil, sa sediment, highlights the need to protect them from human disturbance. And we know, isa yon sa mga hindi natin napapansin dati, na yun pala yung negative environmental consequence in terms of climate change side nung aquaculture. Kasi we know pagka nag-aquaculture, kinukuha, ina-excavate yung sediment, no, para magkamero ng doon yung ilalagay yung pond do sa na-excavate na na portion. And nandun pala yung malaking percentage ng carbon nasa sediment. So pagka ginalaw siya, na-oxidize, nilagay sa gilid at hindi na siya natutubigan o kaya hindi na-expose na siya sa element. So yung carbon na nasa loob niya, nasa kanyang system, ma-emit lang siya, magiging CO2 at babalik sa atmosphere. So you could just imagine yung talagang environmental effect ng mga coastal development, coastal disturbances like aquaculture. So isa rin sa mga nakita namin dito, yung sa study, ay yung carbon stocks ng closed canopy at open canopy mangroves ay differ significantly. So it is a measure, yung differences nung carbon stock sa closed at open canopy is a measure ng forest degradation sa mangrove. Ito po yung isa sa hindi natin na monitor gasino sa mangrove kasi yung ating mapping, the way mangroves are being mapped at the moment ay isang category lang siya, mangrove forest, no, mangrove sa mapping, current mapping system ng NAMRIA. Hindi katulad sa terrestrial forest na may dalawang category, merong closed canopy forest tsaka open canopy forest. So meaning ang definition kasi ng forest degradation, forest pa rin siya pero bumaba yung quality, no. So dahil ganun ang pag-measure pagmapa at the moment ng NAMRIA doon sa mangrove natin, isang category lang siya. Hindi natin hindi natin ma-measure ng maayos yung forest degradation sa mangrove. Pero it's happening, no. Based dito sa data natin, mineasure namin yung sa Palawan, sa Puerto Princesa, sa may Honda Bay specifically, na ang laki ng diferensya in terms of carbon stock, no, nung open tsaka closed canopy mangrove forest, no. So here makikita nyo na yung total carbon density ng closed canopy forest is over 1,000 tons per hectare of carbon, no, tons of carbon per hectare. And yung nasa closed canopy, nasa open canopy ay nasa nasa 600 plus lang, no. So imagine yung difference noon, while forest pa rin siya, pero yung difference noon ay it means na merong emission out, na yun ay galing sa forest degradation. That's why I'm sure familiar kayo dun sa mga programa ngayon na ang tawag ay REDD+, no? So reducing emission from deforestation and forest degradation. So ang madaling i-measure yung deforestation. No, sa mangrove madali nating makita yan kasi kung dating mangrove tapos pag mapa uli hindi na siya mangrove, so clearly merong deforestation. Pero kung walang category ng quality katulad na ginagawa sa terrestrial forest like closed and open forests, ang hirap i-monitor ng forest degradation, no. So it's also pala happening sa mangrove, no. And you could just imagine na ganyan per hectare yung nai-emit out of the forest degradation. So around parang mga nasa mga 300 tons of carbon per hectare, no, yung emission out of the mangrove forest degradation. So walang nagre-report pa niyan so far kasi ang alam na natin emission from deforestation sa ating Philippine mangrove. All right. So isa rin sa key message ng studies that the carbon emission arising from mangrove deforestation could be significant. So ito na nga yung pinakita namin, no. So pumili kami ng mga land use na ngayon like aquaculture na dating mga mangrove forest, no. At mineasure namin yung carbon stock noon at sa katabi nila na malapit na meron pang mangrove cover, mineasure din namin yung carbon stock noon. At kaya kami nakakame up ng ganitong information, ganitong graph, no. So paired siya, no, paired na mangrove tsaka non-mangrove, no. And dito makikita natin na na kung gaano yung emission pagka diniforest mo, pag kinonvert mo yung mangrove forest doon sa other land use like aquaculture. So nakalagay dito yung the mean decrease in carbon stock was 176 tons of carbon per hectare, no. This is in terms of CO2 equivalent, this is some 655 tons of CO2 equivalent per hectare, no, when mangroves are converted to other land uses. So mga ganun pala, no, malaki, no, 176 tons of carbon per hectare or 655 tons of CO2 per hectare when mangroves are converted to other land uses. So here, sabi namin, based on that figure, yung nawawala pala yung decline in carbon stock is around mga 25% ng total ecosystem carbon stock when mangroves are converted to other land uses. And therefore, yung decrease na yon would mean carbon emission. So yun ang carbon emission from mangrove deforestation. Okay. So still on the mangrove emissions from carbon emissions from mangrove deforestation, mineasure din namin yung yung emissions ng carbon as methane tsaka nitrous oxide sa soil ng mangrove tsaka dating mangrove like aquaculture. So ito ang nakita namin na mangroves emit like 40.5 tons of CO2 per hectare per year as a result nung anaerobic decomposition. Yun ay parang natural siya, no, na meron talagang ini-emit because of the anaerobic decomposition, no. Pero dahil ang mangrove ay vegetated pa, meaning hindi pa natanggal yung mga vegetation, kaya in situ or on-site, through pagka siya nagpo-photosynthesis, kaya niyang ma-offset pa rin yun, no? Kasi may carbon storage pa rin and sequestration na nangyayari. And therefore, pati yung mga na-sequester niya eventually pupunta sa soil and therefore ma-accumulate pa rin yun doon sa soil, no. Ma-accumulate pa rin. At nandun pa rin siya sa system, no. Pero kung kinonvert mo yung isang mangrove to other land use like aquaculture pa na walang tinitira na na vegetation, since devoid nga yung system of vegetation, hindi mo na siya ma-offset. Ini-stop mo na yung carbon sequestration and storage, no. So clearly yun yung disadvantage of converting mangroves to other land use in terms of the climate change effect. At yung nabanggit ko nga kanina, yung carbon emission arising from mangrove forest degradation ay significant. So dito sabi natin mangrove deforestation is around 2,200 hectares annually. And pero bumaba na siya during the recent years, around 120 hectares na lang, 118 hectares yearly. Ang gusto nating diting i-point ay while bumaba na rin yung deforestation, pero hindi natin na-monitor yung degradation, no? Na equally important na i-monitor kasi yun nga mataas din ang carbon emission niya. Sabi natin dito, yung for terrestrial forest, merong sa mapping category, merong closed canopy tsaka open canopy forest. Pero sa mangrove wala. So walang ganong categorization, walang no closed and open mangrove. Pero important 'yon na gawin in order for us to monitor yung mangrove forest degradation or carbon emissions arising from mangrove forest degradation. Kasi nga significant din yung difference sa carbon stock ng closed canopy mangrove tsaka open canopy mangrove. Okay, so therefore, ano yung mga key takeaways ng study? By the way, yung study pala namin also includes yung mapping, no? Mapping ng carbon ecosystem ng carbon stock. So, biomass carbon mapping tsaka yung essentially biomass carbon mapping, no? Pero hindi na sa presentation na to, hindi ko na isinama, no? Ang sinama ko lang dito ay yun nga yung field measurements, no, nung carbon. So ano yung key takeaway? So una, yung potential contribution of our Philippine mangrove forest to global climate change mitigation ay significant, no. So sinabi natin kanina na mga more than 500 tons of carbon per hectare yung nakastock sa ating mangrove forest. So multiply that with the current hectareage ng mangrove na around 311,000 hectares. So enormous yung amount ng carbon sa ating mangrove forest. And we know na yun ay majority ay around 74% nakastock sa soil. So as well as yung pagprotekta natin sa vegetation na wag ikat, dapat hindi rin ma-disturb yung sediment kasi nandun yung malaking bulk ng carbon stock. In fact, 74%, no? So parehong dapat protektahan. So yung biomass, yung vegetation plus yung sediment. And then yung mangrove forest degradation, yung sabi natin dito, yung carbon stock ng closed canopy mangrove forest expectedly syempre mas mataas sa open canopy mangrove forest, and therefore the decline doon sa carbon stock ay measure ng carbon emission, and yun ay nagko-contribute sa doon sa climate change, and therefore we need to monitor that, no? As well as forest degradation in mangroves. We also should monitor yung mangrove deforestation, because there is significant decline when mangroves are converted to other land use in terms of their total ecosystem carbon stocks, and this contributes to further to global carbon emissions, no? There is also GHG emission from mangrove soil with and without mangroves. Sabi nga natin, because of the anaerobic decomposition sa mangroves, natural na merong GHG emission. However, pagka kinonvert mo yung mangrove to other land use, especially yung walang mga vegetation na land use, hindi niya kayang i-offset yung kanyang emission, no? Dahil walang mangyayari na photosynthesis, and therefore yung nag-replace yung mangrove, yung land use na nag-replace sa mangrove ay carbon source, no? Carbon source for that matter, kasi hindi niya ma-offset yung kanyang emission. Okay. So these are some of the recommendations ng study, no? So stake protection ng other Philippine mangroves for the huge carbon stores and other ecosystem service. So yung ating mineasure dito ay carbon storage lang and sequestration. So marami pang iba na ecosystem service na pinoprovide ng mangrove na kailangan na natin protektahan, no? And we also recommend yung yearly monitoring and reporting ng ating mangrove extent by province or by sentro, probably using new satellite data and online mapping tools, no? We would like to propose nagluluto kami ng project na gusto naming i-capacitate yung mga implementing Penro at saka Senro. Selected muna para lang makapacitate yung mga field personnel natin sa paggamit ng mga satellite data at saka mga online mapping tools, no? Para kumbaga pwedeng simulan sa mangrove, para kumbaga hindi na kayo mas attune to the available resources like mapping tools tsaka satellite data na mga libre na ngayon, yung pagmo-monitor natin sa ating mga resources within the Senro implementing Penro, no? At yun din, parang hindi din tayo nasa mercy ng mapping agency natin na na matagal magbigay ng mapa, na saka natin ma-realize, nabawasan pala ng malaki yung aming mangrove. So yun. So marami na ngayong mga libre na mga satellite image, yung Landsat Sentinel at saka mga platform kung saan siya pinoprocess, ina-analyze. Ang kailangan lang natin ay i-capacitate yung mga GIS focal persons natin sa implementing Penros and sa Senro. Nagawa na namin to selectively for doon sa isang project namin on bamboo inventory and mapping. Pero this time we hope to continue the effort para i-capacitate yung ating mga field offices. This time naman on mangrove monitoring. Parang near real-time mangrove monitoring. And probably mapping, no? Para syempre sino pa ba ang mas may alam ng resources sa isang management unit, like for instance Senro, kundi syempre taga Senro din, 'di ba? Kaya maraming maidadagdag na value kung i-capacitate on this matter yung ating mga taga-field, no? Kasi libre siya at saka available naman yung maraming resources na kung paano siya gamitin, no? Maraming mga tutorials. Okay, so isa rin sa mga recommendation namin ay isang DNR policy na nagbibigay ng incentives sa region, Penro and Senro that have yung mga Senros na merong mga mangrove at saka Penros, implementing Penros at saka Penros at saka region na merong mga mangroves. So sa 4B, malaki ang yung mangrove, no? So isang DNR policy nagbibigay ng incentive doon sa mga DNR units na ito that have kept their natural mangroves intact, meaning due to very effective management and monitoring ay na-keep yung mangroves intact or na-enhance yung mga degraded mangroves, saka na-revert yung mga abandoned illegal ponds to mangroves, and walang mangrove forest degradation, no? So, yun, we also recommend for that na bigyan ng policy. I don't know kung paano, siguro parang part ng ating yearly recognition sa DNR, no? Merong mga top notcher pagdating sa protection ng mangrove, no? And also, DNR policy to give incentives to landowners, dito siguro sa mga mga A and D na merong mangrove, na to retain their mangroves and to revert their inactive ponds to mangroves, no? Kung magkakameron lang sana ng incentive for them not to convert their mangroves to other areas. Pero of course, alam natin bawal putulin ng mangrove, eh. So ngayon marami nag-a-apply ng earth balling, even if they have title over the land, no? Pero yun nga, kung meron sanang kung merong incentive, makakaisip sana ng isang incentive, for instance, yun nga, yung blue carbon, mangrove blue carbon, isa siyang incentive para igawin mong forest, mangrove forest pa rin yung iyong mangrove forest. At saka kung degraded siya, dagdagan mo pa yung mga tanim. So through carbon credit system, nagkakameron tayo ng parang monetize, no, ng mga nasi-sequester na carbon dun sa ating mangrove. And therefore, because of that, hindi mo kailangang putulin yung mangrove mo para ikaw ay kumita. So just by protecting your mangrove and enhancing yung carbon sequestration and storage, so through carbon credit system, mamomonetize yung na-sequester, no, over the project period. Okay. And then yung mga estimate na generate ng project could be used as input for mangrove valuation studies. So now we know na ganito yung carbon stock and may presyo sa market, at saka yung tinatawag na social cost of carbon na pwedeng gamitin on a per hectare basis para mabigyan natin ng monetary value yung ating carbon sa mangrove. Okay. And yung country level estimate natin ng carbon stocks at saka yung decline could be used for higher tier, for tier 1, for tier 2 and tier 3 GHG inventory. At yung generated carbon stock values could be used as baseline initial data set for future measurements ng carbon stock values through more plot addition, no? Kasi we also may limitations yung study pagdating dun sa number of sites. So hopefully madagdagan yung ating mga sites, yung 11 sites, using the same method para mas ma-refine natin yung ating initial estimate, no? And close and open mangrove canopy, close and open canopy mangrove forest classes should also be done for mapping mangroves. Just like sa terrestrial forest na may closed canopy tsaka open canopy forest, dapat gawin din sana yon for mangrove, kasi by doing that, we would be able to monitor yung forest degradation sa ating Philippine mangroves. And then kung magagawa natin yon, it makes our mangrove an ideal site for REDD+, no, and other carbon payment schemes. Kasi sa REDD+, pagka mag-a-avail ka ng payment doon sa forest degradation at saka deforestation, kailangan ipakita mo na merong threat doon sa dalawang yon. Kung hindi ka pumasa doon sa deforestation, kasi makikita using the satellite data na wala namang deforestation na nangyayari, pero pwede ka pa mag-apply doon sa isa pang letter D, doon sa degradation. By having two categories ng mangrove, yung closed tsaka open, we can provide evidence na yung site ay indeed kailangan ng ayuda through the Red Plus Fund na kasi threatened siya ng forest degradation. So, yun. So, we could also do that pagka may ganun ng mapping classes. So, maraming salamat po for this opportunity to share with you. And sorry po for this online version kasi nasa fieldwork po ako ngayon dito sa Romblon. So, maraming salamat po.